Hi everybody, this is Brian Pryor from Summit Racing here at the Atlanta Motorama with world famous Bigfoot inventor creator Bob Chandler. Bob, it's really great to see you. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Got a couple of quick, easy questions for you. You just recently restored Bigfoot #1.
Yes.
Tell us what was kind of involved in that process and what you did to the truck.
Well, it was really, Summit set this thing up, and it was with, what's it called, Power Nation. And they took my old 640 cubic inch engine, the old, their Allen root motor is what it basically was. And it's an antique, you know, it came out with a truck years ago. And they took it all apart and reconditioned it and put it in the truck. And it just reminds me from years ago, it sounds so good to have that big horsepower motor.
Just to have that big baby back again.
And that's the biggest thing, and we just put it together. Everybody, I've asked people, you know, should I take the thing apart and clean it all up and redo it all? I says, no, leave it the way it is. So I kind of don't like, some of the doors rattle when you close it, you know, but it's 40 years old, for harmony's sake. So.
Character.
Yes.
You know, your first F-150 started out innocently enough. And at what point did you realize that, you know, we got to go with this monster truck direction?
Well, it was an F-250. And I drove it 10 miles from the dealership to my house and changed the tires on it right away because they were too small for me. And then I opened a four-wheel drive shop, and at the four-wheel drive shop, you know, you put all your product on to sell it. And I'd go out and race it every weekend, break it every week. That's where the name comes by the way. I'd race, put my foot in the throttle and break things every week, you know. But you keep putting bigger parts on it, and people come around and they put bigger parts on their truck, bigger tires and wheels and roll bars and all that stuff. So then I go bigger, and then they go bigger. So, you know, it was just a vicious cycle. It got to the point where all of a sudden somebody started calling me Bigfoot, and I put it on the side of the truck, and I used to call it a silly truck, but my wife says don't call it silly. It's not a silly truck anymore. But and then you end up like this.
Thus the legend was born.
I guess, yes.
Did you ever envision that Bigfoot would be such a worldwide phenomena that it is today?
No, it never occurred to me in the least. We started out and we did go out every weekend. We did some kind of display or race at, you know, mud runs, hill climbs, whatever we could do, display at car shows. And one day a promoter came and said, "I'll pay you to come to my show." And I said, "Excuse me, pay me to come?" I said, "Sure." So once we did that, and the exposure we got out of that was just phenomenal. We were in a couple movies from that point on, and it just blossomed. My wife Marilyn, she's the one that she took care of all the paperwork and the books, thank God, because I can't. And between us, we'd sit down at the end of the year and say, you know, we've got to go to as many of these we can because it's not going to last. And it keeps going, so I'll keep going. 40 years later, yes. Yep.
You know, the monster truck industry has evolved so much, from car crushing to driving to freestyle. Do you have one particular favorite area of that you really enjoy?
Tell you what I enjoy more is just the racing. And I don't like the straight line racing as well as the obstacle where there's more driver skill involved. But probably just racing more than anything else. And freestyle, it seems like the crowd likes freestyle better than anything. And that's the driver's just showing off, basically, is all he's doing with that. So, yeah.
You know, how has the evolution of the competition changed the way that these trucks evolved and what you've done with them?
Well, you know, we're at stage 3 monster trucks right now. Stage 1 was Bigfoot 1, for instance. Stage 2, we went to a heavier frame, heavier axles. You know, the trucks went from 10,000 pounds to probably somewhere around 15,000 pounds. And we're still doing the car crushing and things, and Jim Kramer would take the truck and get a little air and jump the cars. And then they started racing. Well, then drivers start getting hurt. And there were several guys broke their backs in these trucks, early trucks. So I kind of sat down on AutoCAD. I learned AutoCAD and designed a tube chassis, nitrogen gas shocks, and that started a whole new, that was stage 3 monster trucks. Now it had suspension rather than the 6 inches like they had before. Now they're running close to 30, 36 inches on some trucks. Wow. So now it's easier on a driver, and things aren't going to change a whole lot from this point on, I don't think. There's a lot of minor changes they make to make it a little bit faster, a little easier on the drivers. But what you're seeing in these races nowadays, that's the monster, that's true monster.
It's amazing.
And it amazes me still. I watch these things and I say, God, they can't do that with that truck. When I started, if you took the truck off the ground at all, you'd come back and be in pieces, you know. But now they're jumping over airplanes with them. It's unreal.
You know, I'm glad that you kind of brought that up. You know, what is your favorite accomplishment in all the years with Bigfoot? If you have one that just stands out in your mind to you.
Wow.
Mine is the airplane jump was absolutely amazing.
Yes. As far as the truck itself, you know, the rear steering was fine, but to me, the accomplishment, I guess you could say, we took trucks, pickup trucks from being farmer trucks, construction workers trucks, utility trucks into the main arena, and it became a motorsport basically. But I'm probably most proud of starting an organization of safety, MTRA. That's a safety organization for monster trucks, and I was chairman of it for 21 years. And basically, almost every monster truck you see refers to those rules when they build a truck for safety. And without that, we probably would have had a lot more accidents and people really getting hurt. So that probably hits me more than anything else.
Well, that's probably the biggest thing that you've brought to this forum, and taking care of the guys and taking care of the drivers. And
it kept us in business, probably.
Absolutely. One last thing. The evolution of the monster trucks, included cantilever suspension, remote ignition interrupter. Any thoughts on those, or where the future may go with these?
Wow. I'm still flabbergasted that it's lasted this long with all the changes. The changes up to this point. I don't know where it's going to go from here. I see these trucks doing things that there's no way that'll survive, and they jump 215 feet and land on the ground and drive away. It's unreal. But I could never drive today in these trucks because a couple reasons. They get in all this safety gear, and it's 100 degrees outside, and they got this thick suit on. They got the kidney belts, they got the shoulder, they got the Hans device on, and they're in a seat that's designed for them, $2,000 seat. And then they put a seat belt on and a harness, and they ratchet strap it down and pull themselves into the seat. And it just amazed me. But they're confined. They're like this. They can't move, and that would bother me. I couldn't do that. But that's probably what saves them, keeps them going, because they can do these spectacular jumps and things and drive away. So I don't know where it's going. That's what you asked me.
Here we go. We'll take it somewhere. Well, Bob, you've been a lifelong hero of mine, and I really thank you and appreciate it. It's incredible to see all your kids, so to speak, here in one spot. It's like a big family reunion.
It's been incredible for me too. I've never seen them all together like this before. So.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure. We're here at the Atlanta Autorama, sponsored by Summit Racing Equipment, with the man, the legend, Bob Chandler.
Thanks, Summit.